Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning. It's November 14th, and so far it's looking pretty ugly out there this morning. We've got stock index futures, commodities, and Bitcoin all selling off in the pre market on Friday morning. Looking at all the stocks, the big loser this morning in the pre market is Tesla, down nearly 5%. And that stock is already on a sell signal, as are many others in this list already. Now, yesterday we had a reversal. We made new highs on Wednesday. The TSX 60 came back into the channel, and the Dow also came back into the channel. Those were the two big winners this week. There's the Vanguard Total Market ETF in the U.S. back on a sell signal. The S&P 500 back on a sell signal. The Nasdaq never generated a sell signal this week. Neither did the semiconductors. So we had a little bit of up movement, a little bit of downward pressure on the VIX, but not something I wanted to participate in. Now, Bitcoin slipped below 100,000 yesterday and closed below it. It is trading sharply lower in the pre-market this morning. So all of those people that bought above 100,000 are now all regretting it, and they're looking for an exit at the moment. Now, looking at the week so far, I printed off some weekly charts this morning, and there's Bitcoin closing below 100,000 yesterday. We've got gold up $184.70. It's down probably $80, I think, last time I looked in the pre-market this morning. Then we've got silver as the big winner this week, up over 10% on the week. That's been helping the mining sector this week. Crude oil not really helping this week, down 1.78%, so still on a weekly sell signal, no change there. At the same time, we've got natural gas continuing to move higher this week, up to 6.7% on the week. Now, it was an inside week so far for the S&P 500. We are certainly going to take a run at last week's low today. That is also true for the NASDAQ 100, which is just down a tick over 1/4% on the week. So S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, both having inside weeks so far. So are the semiconductors, down 1.85% on the week. I think in all cases, we should be dipping down below last week's low today. Looking at the Russell 2000, if we closed here, we would be back on a weekly sell signal for the Russell 2000, but we are trading down in the pre-market this morning. Now, the TSX made a new high this week, and it is currently trading above the upper channel line. We'll probably end the week in the channel. Then looking at NVIDIA is having an inside week, and it is trading lower in the pre-market. So again, we'll have to see if the markets and individual stocks like NVIDIA can hold last week's low, or if we make a lower close this week, which would be a very bearish chart pattern for the market. Now, looking at the VIX, or the fear index, we had a nice move up yesterday, and notice that this chart pattern here. We made a low in October. Now it looks like we're making a higher low, and now we'll be looking to see if we make a higher high. And it looks like we may do that on Friday. I'm still long my VIX ETF. I didn't see any reason to sell it this week. Again, whether you're looking in the US or in Canada, in both cases, we made a higher low, and that is bullish for this particular ETF. Now, we haven't looked at Canadian banks in a while, and for the most part, they're all still holding up fairly well. Looking at the ETF, we're still closing above the upper channel line. One stock that's been having some trouble is Bank of Montreal. It has been a drag on this sector, whereas you've got a new high yesterday for the Bank of Nova Scotia, for the CIBC. For the National Bank, made a new high yesterday. The Royal Bank has been struggling here for a month or so, and we got up to the 206.25 level, and we really haven't been able to move away from it. And once again, yesterday we closed just below that level. So we were trying to get to 212.50, which was the top of our projected trading range, but so far we have not been able to do it. Another stock that's been dragging here is the TD Bank. It made a new high a week or so ago, and has not been able to break out above it just yet. So we came back on a buy signal the other day. I would have personally waved that off, but here we are back in the channel. So a close below $113.37 on Friday would give us a sell signal. Laurentian Bank still on a buy signal here, no change. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to break out above the October high. Let's finish off this morning's presentation looking at the Magnificent Seven stocks. The ETF has been on a sell signal all week. And then looking at Apple, it's still holding up on both sides of the border. Amazon is back on a sell signal as of Thursday's close. And then looking at Alphabet, we need to close below $278.60. We closed at $279.12. We are trading down in the pre-market, so we're probably going to end Friday on a sell signal for Alphabet, joining Meta. Meta was trying to hold the 625 level. Our mathematical target to the downside is 593.75, but you also have to account for the big round number of 600. So the low yesterday was 603. You can see we dipped below that the other day. So they're trying to hold 600. That's going to break in the pre-market this morning. So 593.75 and then 562.50. Those are the next two targets to the downside for Meta. And then on the TSX, you can see our next target is 31.25. Looking at Microsoft, still on a sell signal here, no change for NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA has not broken down below last week's low, and that's what we're going to be looking for next. If that happens, that's going to be a very, very bearish chart pattern for NVIDIA. Then looking at Tesla, Tesla was one of the big losers yesterday, and it is the big loser in the pre-market this morning. We moved down below the 406.25. Of course, below 406, you've got 400. That is a big round number. The low yesterday was 396. We closed at 401.99. But again, we are trading down and heading towards the 375 level in the pre-market. In Toronto, our next target is 34.38. In both cases, if you look back here, you can see that we filled the gap, and that held us in check yesterday. But now we're going to break below those gaps, which have now been filled. Then we got two more to go here. We've got Broadcom. We traded down below the recent low, but did not close below it. It certainly looks like we're going to do that today. So the next question is, do we hold the lows from September and early October? That'll be interesting to see how that works out on Friday. Then looking at Shopify in New York and Shopify in Toronto. In both cases, we traded below the recent lows, but did not close there. It certainly looks like we're going to do that on Friday. In Toronto, our mathematical target was 203.13. Of course, we hit that yesterday. 200 is just below that, and that, of course, is psychological support. But again, it looks like we're going to break that. Now, our next target is 187.50, but notice traders have been using the moving averages. They first found support at the 50-day, then yesterday was the 100-day, and the 200-day is way down here at 180. So we're going to have to break through our next price target to get to the 200-day moving average. But I want you to look way over to the left here and look at this open gap. And you can see the bottom of that gap is just above the 171.88 level. And if you're trading Shopify, you should know what that number is. And that is certainly a major target to the downside to come down and fill that open gap. Okay, folks, that's all for this morning's presentation. So far, it looks like you're going to see some very aggressive selling at the open on Friday morning. The markets have been very volatile. Yesterday was an interesting day because there was really no attempt to rally the market after it started to decline. And be interesting to see if that's how today works out as well. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. If you're a member, I'll post a video on Sunday. If you're not a member, the next time you'll hear my voice is on Monday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.